what I'm going to challenge you guys to do is to really take the time to study the world around you, right? Don't assume that you necessarily have to go to work for some big company. Assume that you could probably have the same impact that they do on the world, and assume that maybe the next big ad campaign that wins all the awards and that everybody talks about could have come from you in a 3-person company. It didn't have to come from some big corporation. So when you study the world around you, what you got to do is sort of look for disruptive events. And what I mean by that is look for changes, look for trends, look for what's different in the world that you can take advantage of. I have a phrase, a catchphrase here. I put it in red because this is what I ask myself every single day when I wake up. I kind of look around the world and I ask this question: what is it I could do today that I couldn't do yesterday? And you will see that all the most innovative ideas and all the entrepreneurs that are changing the way, the fabric of America, the way we live, the way we think, and if you care about that, they're creating the next billion-dollar company. What happened was they looked around and they said, hey, wait a minute. Overnight, because that's the rate the world we live in changes, right? Every morning when you wake up, there's something new that happened while you were sleeping, and it created a brand new opportunity. Whether it was the day music went digital, and suddenly all kinds of new companies popped up because we didn't need CDs anymore. Whether it was a product, all the technology for mobile technology. I mean, I remember from the very first day I got a thing on my phone that said, click here for a 14-day free trial for TV on your cell phone. So this was a little while ago, and I looked at that and I said, oh, I'm going to watch TV on my phone. It's a phone. I don't need it for TV. I'll watch TV when I do want to do that. And I thought, it's probably not. It's probably just really crappy at this point. It was 1 week later that I was getting on a plane. I was in the airport waiting at the gate, and it was like fourth quarter tie score at the 2-minute mark. And I had to go to the gate, and I was like, this really sucks because I want to see the end of this game. And I was carrying my phone, and I thought, wait a minute. And I clicked on the phone, and it was perfectly good streaming. I actually watched the game live, the whole last 2 minutes of a football game on the phone. So from the time I heard about a technology, thought it was useless, to the time I became a customer, and the time it was already went to broadband streaming from the first demo, that whole thing, that all happens in weeks now. Why is that important? Because there's always a new opportunity. The playing field is leveled every single day. So I'm going to tell you about a little process that I do every single morning. I try to do this once a day, but I recommend that you do it at least once a week if you don't have time. And I just call it info sponging. I don't really have a good term for it. But every morning, before the first thing I do before I start the day, I usually take like 30 minutes. I don't answer the phone. I don't touch the email. I don't do text. I set everything aside for a few minutes, and I go on the internet. I usually do it online, and I surf randomly with no plan, right? I have no idea where I'm going next. I just follow thoughts and follow clicks, but I make notes. And you know what I'm doing? I'm marking down a trend, right? I'm looking at a new consumer trend that they're talking about. People are really worried about this right now. And I don't know what that means, but I'll write that data point down. And then I discover that something has happened, some new law was passed over here. Then I read about a new company that was just formed yesterday. Then I read about one company buying another company. What does any of this mean? I have no idea when I'm reading it. But you know what I do? I keep writing all these little points down. And then at the end of that 30 minutes, I just sort of stare at all that stuff, and they're like puzzle pieces. And a lot of times I can't make any sense of it at all. It's just some random events that occurred in the world. But you know what happens over time? I do that every single day. And eventually you hit a day where you have your OMG day. You say, wait a minute, this happened, and this happened. You draw a line between them and you just created a brand new company. Or you just thought of the next big thing, the next cool idea. So most of the startups that I've been involved in, like I said, I've done 6 of them, came from that process. From observing a world bigger than you. You are in the advertising business, let's say, okay? But if all you ever do is look at the advertising business, you won't probably be the best in class. If you look at consumer trends, if you look at even whether you look at just what's on people's minds in the world, what's happening around the planet, if you take a broader view outside of your industry, I'm willing to bet that you will be far more effective at advertising if you are tuned into the pulse of the human race that way. So I follow this stuff, and I just randomly click on stuff just to see what the world is thinking about. One of my favorite things to do is I go to the search engines, like you can see it on Yahoo. On the right, if you look on the home page, it always says at any given moment the top 10 most popular searches. I look at that every single day. Why? I have no idea. But I'll bet you I have a pretty good idea what America is thinking about at any given day by looking at the top 10 most popular searches. And usually, you can probably guess what just happened in the world while you slept, based on what the top 10 most popular searches are. Like I said, it's an intangible thing. But little by little, you start to get a better sense, and I think that you become much more in tune. If you're developing an ad for a product, you start to get a sense of who your customer is, what they're thinking about, where you can reach them. Sometimes it's just plain entertaining because it's just random. The other day, the top 10 things were like, you know, the nuclear bomb in Pakistan, right? Whether they had nuclear weapons, the Iranian thing, swine flu, and it was all stuff that, the Yankees, it was all stuff that made sense. And then number 8 was stink bugs. So to this day, I have no idea why half of America all of a sudden woke up and had to know about stink bugs last Tuesday. If somebody finds out, let me know. I did not click on that one. I want to give you an example of why it's important to take a step away from what you're working on and take a broader look at the world. And how that creates the more innovative people because they're looking at a bigger picture. I'm going to give you an example from the music business. I've done a lot of stuff in entertainment, produced some horror films, done some concerts with people like Elton John. We did some music tours with people like NSYNC and Britney and stuff during the pop era. That all for me, by the way, was a giant marketing exercise. I was trying to understand how Hollywood is the ultimate marketing machine and what is it they're doing that gets us to go spend all that money on something that 5 minutes into it we already hated and wish we hadn't walked in there. They already got our money. So and then the success examples, right? Obviously the pop stuff, those were friends of mine. A friend of mine, a kid named Chris Kirkpatrick, is the kid that started NSYNC. He was one of the 5 kids in it. From the day they started it, it was nothing. I actually got to ride along and watch how a marketing machine, not a music machine, an advertising machine, not a music machine, created what was at one moment, came from my friend's idea in a trailer that he lived in. He didn't even own a home, to becoming the biggest band in the world in a moment in time. You know what did that? Not musical talent. I'm sure you will agree. It was marketing that did that. The same people, which are friends of mine, created Britney Spears. Was that something built on musical talent? No. It was something built on marketing. Why did the marketing work? Because they were very in tune with who the customer was, what they wanted, and how to feed it to them. Because they took a broader look at the world. So I went on a couple of the tours with the NSYNC guys. So we're in New York City, and we're at Tower Records in Times Square. And they're doing an autograph signing. I'm just sort of hanging out there. But because it was NSYNC and it was whatever, you know, the height of their little career, the actual owners of Tower Records had flown in from London for this thing. So I'm talking to these guys, and I'm sitting and thinking about their industry, trying to take a broader look than just records, watching people buy CDs at the time. And I asked this guy, I said, what business are you guys in? And he said, well, we're in retail, obviously. And I said, I'm not sure you're in the retail business. And he said, you know, looking at me like I'm an idiot. And he said, this is what we do. And we do retail. We sell CDs. And he said, you know, I said, what is it that you focus on? Why do you want your business? And he said, oh, we buy light bulbs, and we buy carpet, and we buy racks, and we buy CDs. And he said, we're in the retail business. I said, you're not in the retail business. And they're starting to look at me even like it was crazier. And I said, why do people come in your stores? And he said, people come here to buy CDs. And I said, there's nobody on the planet that wants to buy a CD. And he said, are you nuts? Do you know how many million CDs we sell? And he said, what are you talking about? I said, nobody on the planet wakes up and says, geez, I wish I had a circular piece of metal in my hand right now. I said, everybody on the planet wakes up and says, I want to hear a song. Nobody wants to buy a CD. Everybody wants to hear a song. He said, well, what the hell difference does that make? I said, it makes all the difference in the world. And he said, I don't get it. And I said, you're right, you don't. So 5 years from now, you'll probably be bankrupt. And he said, why? And I said, because you don't get what business you're in. You're in the music distribution business. You exist because people want to hear a song. You do not exist because people want to go to the store and buy a CD. In fact, nobody wants to go to the store and buy a CD. He said, have you seen our sales numbers? I said, I'll check them again in a year or two. What happened in the year or two? I mean, these guys were looking at me, they basically kicked me out. What happened in a year or two? I'll tell you what happened. People found a way to listen to music. They did not want to buy a CD. They did not want to go to a music store. They just wanted to hear a sound, a song. 5 years ago, if I had asked you, who owns the music industry? You would have probably said the record labels, the record stores. Tower Records would have been on your list. 5 years ago, if I had asked you, who is going to be the most profitable company in the music business, not one of you would have said Apple Computer. That's nonsense. They're a computer company, right? What is the reality today? I'll tell you the reality today. The reality today is those guys went bankrupt, all right? Just as predicted, and Apple makes so much money on iPods and iTunes that they could give away the Mac for free.